Hey guys, Matthew here from the MMat YouTube channel. My buddy Trevor is along for the ride once again. This is part 2 of a 3-part mini-series, if you will, on the Remington on the Remington 597 versus the Marlin 795. Let's start with the Remington, and as you can see here, the Remington breaks down into 3 major parts. We have the receiver and barrel, the bolt, and the trigger assembly. The Marlin breaks down into 4. We have the same receiver and barrel, the same bolt, but then the trigger and the trigger group are 2 separate parts. You can see in the Remington that the trigger system is actually quite simple, and I'm very impressed with how simple it actually is, and it works very well. It's a very nice trigger. The Marlin, on the other hand, comes with a fairly heavy trigger from the factory. But with the M-Carbo spring kit, you can reduce the trigger pull quite a bit. But that being said, even if you don't, a few thousand rounds tends to clean up the trigger, and it tends to work quite well after that. But you can see there's a lot of intricate parts in there. It's quite, I don't want to say complicated, but there's more parts than there needs to be.
And also, Matt, the original or the base model of the 597 trigger is not as nice as this one. This one may have some kind of enhanced trigger or different spring kit in it. I'm not sure, but like you said, the base model of the 795 comes with a kind of horrific trigger. Well, the base model of the 597 trigger is not that great either. This one, as I said, I don't know if it's because it's a more expensive model that Remington did some work to the trigger or put in a different spring, but comparing these 2 triggers is not a fair comparison. Comparing a base model 597 is more of a fair comparison.
Well, next time bring your base model 597.
Roger.
Another major difference you can see is the Remington has 2 guide rods and 2 recoil springs, whereas the Marlin has 1 guide rod and 1 recoil spring. The other difference you can see here is the Remington on the left here is rounded, the Remington, whereas the Marlin is very square. You can see 2 extractors on the Marlin, and there's 1 extractor on the Remington. The Remington firing pin is circular and it's in the top, and the Marlin firing pin is kind of rectangular and it's near the bottom.
And this one is free floating, and this one is with a spring.
This firing pin is spring loaded, and this one is just free floating in the bolt there.
So let's talk about the guide rods for a minute. The Marlin has 1 guide rod and 1 recoil spring that fits into the back and into the center of the bolt, where the Remington has 2 guide rods, and the way they're designed is they go in through the back of the receiver, 1 on either side, which makes reassembling a little challenging because you've got to get them in there and get the bolts in there and get the springs in there. I'm working blind here. One of the criticisms of the 597 is that it can be a jam-o-matic, and it's a very simple fix. The problem is when you reassemble it, there's 2 set screws at the back of the receiver that hold those guide rods in, and simply over-tightening them will cause the guide rods to bow, and that will obviously interfere with the free-floating function of the bolt. So
now, most people want to over-tighten them to make sure they don't come loose, but what they don't realize is the back of the receiver actually comes up against the stock, and so they can't come loose. So just put them in until they touch, and then you're done. Is that correct?
That's it. That's all, yeah. There's no need to over-tighten those set screws. They're not going anywhere.
Very good. Barrel removal for the Marlin is this pin here. You pound that out and then pull out the barrel, which I don't recommend because I don't even think there are any aftermarket barrels for the Marlin. So that being said, the factory barrel on the Marlin is fan-frickin-tastic. It has micro groove rifling, which is a lot of people attribute the accuracy to that micro groove rifling. So that's something to look into. The Remington, Trev, do you want to explain how that comes out?
Very simple. So you remove the screw, pull that out. The barrel comes out very, very simple to remove, and there are aftermarket barrels for this. Volquartsen, famous for making parts for the 1022, makes a couple of different variations of barrels for this rifle.
Very good. Alright, well, we hope you found this video informative, and we're going to put our guns back together, and then if it's warmer than
I don't know
minus
how.
45, we're going to go to the range tomorrow and do some shooting.
I'm ready.
Cool, let's go. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.